Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sorry I haven't been posting in a while. As you can see, we're in a completely different garage today because we've been in the process of moving over the last couple months. Still got some more stuff back there that I actually need to unpack, but I thought it would be more important to spend the day with you guys and shoot a little bit different of a video. So today's video, sadly, you saw it in the thumbnail, you saw it in the description, we are selling the ZHP. Well, it will be a sad day for me to see it go, but it could be a great day for one of you to come up and win the auction for it. With that, I'm going to be putting the ZHP up for sale on carsandbids.com. The auction isn't exactly live yet because I'm currently shooting while I'm uploading everything that Cars and Bid needs to be able to put the auction onto their website. So I will make sure once the auction goes live, I'll put in the description the link for the auction itself, and I'll put more information about the final date for it and other things like that. But without further ado, let's take a look at this car. So the other thing too that I forgot to mention is the auction itself will be a no reserve auction, which means if you bid on it and you win it, it's yours. I have no underlying secret price that I'm hoping to get. So whatever it sells for, it sells for. So one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to this vehicle itself is the current status of the powertrain. Now you will see in the engine bay sitting in front of you is a M54 BMW engine that has a Vanos system along with it. Now the Vanos is basically BMW's take on Honda's VTEC cam timing, that when you get into the higher RPMs, it changes the cam timing to give you a couple more horsepower. So if I remember correctly, the horsepower that comes with this type of engine on this type of platform with the current tuning is around the mark of 231 horse. The best thing about this is the previous owner ended up having to replace the engine that this car originally came with, and they had an indie shop do it. They replaced it back at about 90,000 miles, I want to say. So this is an older vehicle, definitely. It's got some good miles on it, but the engine is one of the newest components on this. Now, of course, a great powertrain has to be linked up with a good transmission too. So let's go inside and talk about that for a little bit. All right, before everyone clicks off, totally get it. It's not the manual, it is the automatic, but it's still this electronic transmission that comes with it. So you still have the ability to select the gears that you want to run through. So I'll show that later during the driving portion of this video. Kind of run through the gears, get you guys a good idea of what you might be purchasing. But with that, the great thing about this transmission is at the 120,000 miles roughly, I ended up taking it to a transmission repair shop, got the whole entire transmission rebuilt. So this is a pretty rock solid transmission for the next 120,000 miles because that's pretty much how long I ran for it too. So with the replacement engine and the rebuilt transmission, this is definitely one of the strong attributes of this vehicle. So with having the strong powertrain to be working off of, I did most of the maintenance on this vehicle myself, and while I was doing that, I made sure to have a little bit of fun. So let me walk you through all the mods that I ended up putting onto it. Aux fan delete, got the electric motor now running on this side, gives you a little bit more space on this side of the radiator. Got the aftermarket wheels of the Enkei Rygens. I got 18 by 8 in the front, and I have 18 by 8.5 in the rear. Both are wrapped in the Firestone Indy 500s. Can't forget about the stud kit that I put onto this. So these are 63 millimeter studs that I put onto the hub, and then they also come with the aluminum Mishimoto lug nuts too. And the great thing about these is that one of them has 7 faces to it, so it will come with this extra socket that I'll make sure to send with the purchase of the vehicle. But most of these are 6-sided, besides for this one that is 7-sided. That will slip on. You'll just take your normal socket and you just pop that right on the end with the 6 face, and it fits on all the other ones perfectly fine. And those Indy 500s that I talked about, they're basically brand new. Ended up putting them on in spring of 2021. You can see the life of the tread on those. I'll show you the front one too. So these are brand spanking new. There's definitely less than 5,000 miles of wear on these tires. I had to go through and replace the headliner. When I first purchased it, it was falling off. Something you see every now and again with these older BMWs. But this one has a full headliner. The C pillar has its cloth, as does the B pillar and the A pillars. K&N air filter. The other thing that I'm not 100% sure on, just by looking up forums and seeing the ride height of these vehicles, I am 95% sure there's lowering springs in the front by about 1 inch. There's no lowering the back. Front blacked out M Sport kidney grills. The other thing, as you can see, is the tinted windows that I did on all sides of them. It is the carbon tint that was done for it, so it looks very nice. This vehicle also already has the strut tower reinforcements. This car chassis does have a lot of issues that come along with the subframe of the vehicle, and to combat that, you can kind of see it. This black little plate that will be mounted underneath here on the strut tower gives it a little bit more mustard to make sure that there's no hairline cracks in you, because you can see on these towers, these are still in awesome shape. I'll show you the other one too, just to show that there's no hairline cracks inside of it. Let me show you the back. So behind some of this carpeting, of course, there's the battery down there, and then you can see that strut tower has its reinforcement plate. That would be, let me see if I can show you it, is this piece right here, this little piece of metal to help reinforce it. Let me dig out the other side. And just to prove it, there's the other strut tower with the reinforcement plate. The other thing I wanted to talk about while we're back here is this still has the complete kit that came with all the US sold ZHPs. Now, what you're gonna ask is, well, what's the missing piece here? Well, this is a road flare, like a little triangle that you would put up on the side of the road as you were broke down. But for some reason, the Germans think that we're dumb Americans and we don't know how to use those. So they just leave those out of the kit. But everything else is here. And the last but not least, my favorite thing that I've added to this vehicle during my ownership is a set of halo rings around both of the headlights. Let me turn them on real quick. So I have them wired up that whenever you have any of the auxiliary power running for the vehicle, these will be running on. So you can save yourself a little bit of insurance, because this now has daytime running lights. And the purchase of this car will come with 3 keys. So these are the 2 normal ones. They have the remote to be able to open and close it. But this one is the valet key. I don't really know if it like restricts the engine or anything like that, but it's an extra one that if you were to valet this, probably when it was a brand new car, valet it every single day, this is the key that the valet would keep on hand. It's plastic, it still works. I've turned it on a couple times with it, but someone in the comments, if you know more about this, feel free to educate all of us. So the other thing that I wanted to show you guys is that the key still works completely. So you press the middle, it locks, you tap the top one, it unlocks, and then down here, if you click and hold, you'll hear it pop. The trunk powertrain to show you that it still works too. So the parts that will be coming with this vehicle too, I'm going to put that little socket that I was talking about for the Mishimoto lug nuts in there from when you purchase the vehicle. There's also a camshaft position sensor, just some stuff I picked up throughout the years that I just never got around to installing. And then also, this is the electric fan, if you were so inclined to revert back to the aux fan. You would put this on the front of the radiator where I showed you earlier some of the space you ended up getting. The reason I still have it is the electric motor that I currently have installed. It has the exact same motor housing from Bosch, so I just held on to it just in case something was to happen. I didn't have to go out and then purchase a new fan. I could quickly just swap this one back in. The other quick thing that I wanted to discuss that will be involved in the sale is this unique looking socket. It is a 36 millimeter. It basically is for the oil filter housing. It goes on the top just like that. So when you're done changing your oil, put a new filter in, you can properly torque it after the fact. So I'll throw this in the back of the trunk with the other socket that is included. So after going through those couple sections of it, I bet a bunch of you are going through the verbal meme of take my money. But I wanted to talk about one thing about this vehicle that is a little bit less than ideal, and that's kind of the cosmetic status. So in full transparency, the worst part of it is going to be the front bumper. You can see a bunch of rock chips, and then also running that low life, we got some nice scrapes, and there is unfortunately a crack, hopefully you can see it, in the front bumper that I've tried to patch up, but have not gone through the process of buying a brand new bumper for it. So I'm gonna give you a quick kind of show of what we're dealing with running those lowering springs in the front. There's also a scrape here, right in front of the reflector. I did replace the reflector when I first got it. It was broken. I replaced them with these nice smoke ones, and you can see some more rock chips up the side. So just going around the car, you can see on the side panel is a little bit scraped there. There's a couple other chips. There's a little chip here on the door sill. And then the biggest scrape on the vehicle is right here. That comes with a funny story that my girlfriend at the time, now wife, was taking the car out to go and run some errands. We had two really nice cars in the driveway, and she thought they were too nice, so she crashed them into each other and ran this on the side of my truck. So that's the end result of it. It's not terrible, but you can definitely see it looking up close. Should be able to be repaired quickly. The best part about that story is my wife ended up doing that a week before I ended up getting proposed to her. Still went through with it, guys. The other thing here, just a little bit of flaking of the top coat on the rear bumper. Another piece there. It's definitely repairable, but I just wanted to make sure you guys see it before you end up putting any purchases on this vehicle. The other thing is the diffuser. You can't really tell, but there's a piece kind of missing right there. Once again, from low life, living in a mountainous area. I think I bottomed out one time and ended up cracking my diffuser. Another little bit of just paint chipping right about there. Everything on the top looks great. There's not really much to worry about. It's more on the lower side of the vehicle. Just kind of going through, checking a little bit more there. A couple more rock chips, of course. But that's kind of what you get when you end up taking your vehicle out and making sure you run it and have a great time with it, because it is working still and it's in great condition otherwise. But cosmetically, I just wanted to be upfront with you guys and kind of go over a little bit of everything. But with that being said, it is a, what would it be now, 25-year-old vehicle. So it has lived its life. It has had a great time, but for most of its life, it lived in fantastic areas, and you'll see that on the Carfax too. I think it began its life in Hawaii, then it moved over to California because I believe a couple different Navy officers ended up owning this, so they brought it along with them. And then it lived in Maryland with another enthusiast that I ended up buying this vehicle off of. They kept that in their garage like I do. And then I moved over here into Pennsylvania and was here for about 2 years. But it was used as a daily driver for a little bit, but it was never in terrible conditions, and every single night and ended up staying in a garage, so it wasn't left out kind of letting the sun beat down on it and kind of weather itself more with that. So the next thing is the status of the interior, which is, again, one of the strongest things of the car itself. So the leather is the original powered seats in the front, in the driver and the passenger, that have a little bit of bolstering. And you can see the leather. This is probably the most used seat, of course, it's the driver. And it's in fantastic condition for its age. It is powered, like I said. The driver has memory seats, so you got the 3 of them right there. The passenger is not, but it is still powered. We got the original floor mats in the driver footwell and the passenger footwell. The ones in the rear we do not have anymore, so it's just kind of a third-party one. But that brings us right into the back seat. Once again, just showing the great condition of this leather after the how many years it's been since it's been produced. So this is in great condition. The other thing too is the steering wheel itself is in fact wrapped in Alcantara. On it, there's a couple buttons for the cruise control on this side, and then on this side is more for the infotainment, kind of the volume up and down, next, following track, stuff like that. And the other thing that comes with this vehicle purchase is the service manual Bentley book. So this has been really helpful to me as I've been going through working on this vehicle myself. And just to prove to you guys, I'm not trying to hide anything on the passenger leather. That's in great condition too, with the Bentley book. And these kind of move forward on the passenger and the driver. So let's get to the part you guys all wanted to see. Let's get a cold start. Here is the cold startup on the 2005 330 Ci with a ZHP package. Okay, we finally made it into the car. It's up and running. I've been letting it warm up for a little bit, so you got your temperature gauge over there. We're getting pretty close. But yeah, let's get it on the road and show you what it's all about. So the first thing that's kind of goofy about this car, and I think it's actually a little perk that comes along with it, is anytime you'll go and put it into reverse, that passenger side mirror actually drops down to show you what you're looking at so you don't run into a curb or back yourself into something. But show you that reverse is working. So here it is, just cruising around the neighborhood. The first thing I wanted to talk about is when I was getting ready to sell this vehicle, there was a couple things that I had to do. And maybe you've seen a couple of my previous videos where there was a service engine soon light on. As you can see, that's off now. So the couple things that I did to this vehicle to get it ready for the sale is I replaced both of the O2 post-cat sensors in the exhaust stream. And then the other thing that I did is I took it into the shop to get the coolant thermostat replaced because that was throwing another fault code too. But got both of those taken care of. You should see pictures for all of that in the photo gallery of the listing of this vehicle. So feel free to look at those, see a couple of pieces of work that I've done on it to get it all ready for you guys to purchase. So the other thing that I think is still pretty impressive about this vehicle, because it's a 2005, is the AC still works. So I've been letting it warm up for a little bit, or cool down if you so say. So I got a nice thermometer here. That is one for the body, so let me switch it over to surface. Take a reading up here. So we got that, and then we'll put it on the vent itself. And we're blowing cold air. It does still have AC working, so if you're driving down the road on a warmer day, you can still have that option too, to make sure that you're not sweating bullets while you're driving your ZHP. The other thing too is you'll hear it as I open it up a little bit more and we get in a curvier bit and then do a test drive through the highway here later. But I still currently have the stock sport exhaust that came with this vehicle on the car. So I think it is very appropriate for what it is, because as you can hear, it doesn't gurgle, or I'm sorry, it doesn't resonate too bad. And as you're driving around in a residential neighborhood, you're not going to have your neighbors hating you every single time you turn this over with the cold start. Now, the cold start did sound good enough, but it's not enough to wake up the neighbors. So if you wanted to, you can always slap on a catback exhaust to make it a little bit louder, or a different exhaust if you so please once you have the car in your possession. But I think the one that's on it right now is appropriate for where I'm at with it, and then you'll hear it as I open it up a little bit more as we get to the more fun, spirited part of this test drive. So as we start to get out of the residential area, I can show you this car a little bit more, open it up. The first thing I wanted to show you is the gear select window is right down here on the dashboard. So what you'll do with this electronic transmission is you'll just pop it over. It will put you then into sport mode right here, which just gives you more time to actually roll through the gears and doesn't want to shift so quickly, to keep you better in your economy and make sure that you're not killing yourself on gas mileage. But this one gives you a little bit more. We'll pull up this hill. Showing how that works. And then also you have the ability, like in a lot of other vehicles that are automatics, is you can go through and physically pick out the gear that you want. So you either push forward or pull back on the gear selector here. And what you'll get is we're in 5th gear right now, and then you'll hear what the exhaust sounds like with a downshift. Be able to let you pull a little bit more. So you can go all the way from gear 1, which is just to get you rolling when you're pulling away from a stoplight. It tries to keep you in gear 2, but I always try to shift down to get an extra little bit of a power band out of it. So it is a planetary gear set. So all it's doing is it has a bunch of different gears inside of it. So it gives you those different selections of gear ratios to be able to switch between them and give you a little bit more control. And also when you're selecting your own gears, as long as your foot is mashed on the gas, it will let you go all the way up to red line without any fuss. But it will shift for you if you're pulling on it. And taking off a little bit. So if you're not mashing that gas, it will try to shift for you just because you're overworking the engine a little bit, but if you're asking for it, it's going to give it to you. So we're pulling up on the highway here. So let me get myself all situated. And then we'll do an on-ramp pull just to show you guys what this sounds like a little bit more. See that there's a Subaru jumping on, so I'm going to lean back a little, push down in another gear. Build up that power as we're going on. And also you can see the handling in this is one of my favorite parts of the whole entire vehicle. So it does derive for that BMW spec of 50% weight in the front and 50% weight into the back. I'm gonna get around this guy. And the steering in this vehicle is by far my favorite part of it. It's gonna be the thing that I'm gonna hate to see go, but it never understeers on me. Never had an instance of oversteer either when I'm taking it to a couple autocross events. It puts it exactly where the car needs to go, and that back end has just enough to be able to follow you through everything with it. The other thing that this car is used for a lot is people will turn these into drifters. The only thing that you really need is a hydraulic handbrake to put onto it, and then having that rear wheel drive power putting for you, it lets you break it open as much as you want, puts it sideways. You may want to put an angle kit on the front of it, but outside of that, it's just going to be your build. You can do whatever you want with it. But yeah, the handling on this ZHP is going to be the thing I am most sad to see go, because it is just absolutely phenomenal. The other thing that I'm just thinking of right now is we are in 5th gear on the highway. I do not believe that's an overdrive gear. The overdrive gear comes in the manuals where it's at 6th gear. So with these, it is just putting it along as well as it can, trying to save you as much on the fuel economy on the highway. The other thing that I want to quickly show off before we hop off here in about a mile is that the cruise control does in fact work. So we're about a hair over 65 right now. Hold that, push down, and it will just hold 65 for us as we're going along. We can increase it by holding the up button, of course, and then decrease it by holding the down button. But it will just hold for you, let you take your foot completely off the gas, and then just keep that constant speed for you. So I'm going to be quiet and let you guys just listen to the rattles and the rolls for this next half mile and let you see that everything is working phenomenally inside this vehicle. And as you can see, I know you're going to be a BMW owner once you have purchased this off the auction listing. But yes, the blinkers do in fact work on both sides. I know there's a stigma that BMW owners don't use them. You can do whatever you want once you own this vehicle, but the blinkers are in working fashion. So to wrap everything up, I'm just going to pop that back into automatic and let the car drive itself from here so I can speak to you guys. Been great owning this vehicle for about the last 2 years. I am going to be sad to see it go, but with where my life is going with my family, it's about time for me to move on from it. Whoever ends up getting this is going to get a great starter for their build, and I'm excited to see where you guys will take it. This video will go live. I'm working with Cars and Bids right now to complete the listing for this car to get it up onto their website. So this will go live before the auction starts. So if you're interested, feel free to leave a comment down below that you're interested in knowing what the listing will be when the car is live. I will make sure to add a hyperlink into the description for the auction. But yeah, outside of that, I'm excited to see who ends up winning this one, and then I'm excited to also see what you guys do with it going forward, because it was great to have in my garage, and I think it's going to make a great addition to whoever garage ends up getting it. And the other thing on top of that, more for the channel than for this car itself, I'm eyeing up a couple other vehicles that I think are going to be in the appropriate direction for me going forward. But don't worry, I think they're going to still be something you guys will be interested in learning about and seeing what I'm going to do with it. So more to come on what vehicle is actually going to replace this one for Mountain Mods. So stay tuned, guys, and then once I have that car in my possession, I will try to put a video together displaying it for you.